Coming up on Adjacent to the Music.
The fire was just raging brutally hot. I mean, as fire tends to be, there's never really been a cold fire. At least to my knowledge. It sort of would have been an emergency then, would it? Cold fire? Might be kind of nice, because you get hot, it causes too many people, you know.
On December 4, 1971, Montreux Casino in Switzerland burned down during a concert by the Mothers of Invention after a fan set the venue on fire with a flare gun. Immortalized in the song Smoke on the Water by English metal band Deep Purple, it was an instant success after its release in 1972. With Frank Zappa, Deep Purple, Jethro Tull, and Procol Harum also in attendance for the Super Pop Festival, it's easy to miss a lesser-known artist who is also there. Enter Charles Buckman Finster. Charles Buckman Finster, or Chucky Buck, as he came to be known, was born in Stratford-upon-Avon on May 21, 1941, and knew exactly what he had to do from a young age.
My dad was a real disciplinarian. He used to beat me red silly with an old guitar he stole from an homeless man down the street, and there was a certain sound that guitar made when it cracked over me brother's head, and I thought, that's beautiful.
But life wasn't all sunshine for young Charles.
Apparently, the man from whom the guitar was stolen recognized it and repeatedly asked my father if it was his. We were beating on the line, you see. My dad would always say no, but the man got wise to my dad and eventually bludgeoned him with a bass. A flange bass, actually, I remember that, because the sound it made when it cracked over me dad's head, and I thought, I'm gonna need a flange pedal.
From that moment, Charles was hooked. He formed several bands in high school with his brother, Reginald Buckman Finster, none lasting for more than a few years until he met Pimp Munt and Rupert Gordon Pickles in 1964.
We tried desperately to think of a name for the band. Fire Truck Squad was our first one, Punters with Shunters was another, but that didn't really make sense. Finally, my brother was like, Chucky Buck and the Finster Ministers. And I was like, what? But I said yeah, and the name stuck.
Reginald was an instrumental part of the band, writing much of the music but refused to take the spotlight.
What? Adjacent to the music, you old wanker. They want to talk to you, making a documentary on your band.
Why the fuck would I want to do that? Give it here, hey? Hey, who's this, hey?
Mr. Buckman Finster, this is...
Sort of, you grubber snollygoster.
Being the face of the band was Charles' job.
Being the face of the band was my job.
Charles' job was being the face of the band.
Mine.
The band found moderate success with their releases Want to Want Your Wantin' and Pushin' Up Daisy Ducks.
Our success was moderate.
After a small tour of pubs in the London area, Charles and the band came to the attention of Richard Nigel Pritchard, owner of Reasonable Expectations Records. Though it turned out that the label was nothing more than a tax shelter, and Pritchard would later serve 2 years for drug possession, child endangerment, and attempting to acquire a nuclear weapon, the backing meant the band could play more prestigious gigs.
After we signed to Richie's label, we got all kinds of gigs: pubs, bars, taverns, saloons, gin mills, alehouses, beer joints, CD water holes, 60, 80 seats. It was insane. It all really blew up.
But these smaller shows led to a high-profile gig sharing the bill with legendary musicians on that fateful December night.
We were co-headlining the main stage with Garfunkel Blunderbuss at Nino's Tavern on the opposite side of Lake Geneva, opposite the casino one burned down. 98 seats. Of course, because of curfew, both bands had to play at the same time.
When the Finster Ministers wrapped up their show at 5:35 p.m., the band rushed over to the Montreux Casino to see Frank Zappa's band, the Mothers of Invention.
Turns out the scalper sold us fake tickets, so we had to watch from outside. Because it was an indoor venue, so, you know.
As the casino burned, concert-goers left calmly, and there were thankfully no major injuries.
They say it was a flare gun, but we think it was one of my
Charles and the band bravely assisted people out of the burning casino.
Instantly, this riff just pops into me head. I think I think I could still do it.
That won't be necessary, Mr. Buckman. We'll just play...
Nah, still got it.
Upon their return to England 2 days later, Chucky Buck and the Finster Ministers entered the studio to record their seminal hit, Casino Fire from Hell, but in Montreux.
It was an arduous process to make that album. We decided to make it fire-themed with that song as a centerpiece. Everything had to be just right, so we took time to make that record.
The band faced minor obstacles in the studio, including a 3-day period where they all forgot guitars already existed, then attempt to invent them and patent the Bucky Strum Box. Nevertheless, they completed the album Days of Flames and Dames on February 10th, 1981.
We were devastated when we found out Deep Purple did it 9 years earlier.
Chucky Buck and the Finster Ministers disbanded later that year. Pip Munt became an insurance salesman and passed away in 2013 after refusing treatment for 77 gunshot wounds. Rupert Gordon Pickles lived a quiet life off his royalties, making over £24 in a single year. Reginald Buckman Finster,
That are all 6s and 7s that said my team would tell you what to do.
and the one who started it all, Charles Chucky Buck Buckman Finster, after a long string of high-profile relationships, settled down with a wife appropriate for an aging 70s rock god, 16-year-old Dave. Citizens.